Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and this is the 100th Ask a Herbert Erpaderp. It's only taken me 500 years to get to 100 of these, but here we are. I couldn't really think of anything special to do to celebrate within the video, but I will be doing a stream to celebrate. That will be Sunday the 15th of September, around 7 PM local time. Check my Twitch channel where there's a schedule that will convert it to your local time. I decided on an evening stream because that's just much easier on me. Getting up in the morning is kind of hard. Anyway, there will be a giveaway during that stream. I can't tell you what it is now because I haven't bought it yet, but I will. And it will be a model kit of some kind, so get ready for that. The stream itself won't be a modelling stream though. I'm thinking to make it more of a community day. I've seen other streamers do that and it seems like fun. And because of that I'm going to try and go a bit longer than I normally would. Also, I will be playing some games with community members. Maybe some PUBG or some War Thunder and probably something like golf with your friends. Stuff that's easy to play online without any extra setup. Also, for those interested, September is Subtember on Twitch. What that means is regular Tier 1 subscriptions are half price, though I do believe they have to be bought on PC, not mobile, and if somebody has gifted you a sub and you continue that, that's half price as well. The cool thing is I would still get the same amount of money for those half price subs. So if you do want to subscribe to my Twitch channel and help me out quite a bit, now would be the time, and I would certainly appreciate it. It's also worth noting that subscribers have a higher chance to win giveaways too. Just saying. Also, I thought I would share Smoz's new blog. I know a lot of you are interested in models, otherwise you probably wouldn't be here, and you're probably familiar with Smoz. He's started a new blog around modelling, and I think you should check it out. There's a link in the description. It's only new, so there isn't a whole lot of stuff there yet, but you should go and check it out and favourite it, or whatever you do with blogs, so that you can see what he does. Smoz does good work, so it should be a good blog. Okay, now let's get to the asky part of Ask a Herbert Erpaderp. Trekan Beluvic said, "Dear Mr. Erpaderp, you are going to do your 100th show. Congratulations." Drumroll with the hi-hat to-shing at the end. That's called a rim shot. But in the credits you never mention which actor plays Herbert Erpaderp. Who is it? I guess it's Saverio Guerrera, LeVar Burton, or Eden Sher, or a Klingon bird of prey's captain's unmarried step-sibling's uncle. Herbert Erpaderp is actually played by a rotating cast of unknown actors who all somehow have the same terrible voice and face. It sucks to be them, but at least they're doing something, you know? You gotta keep busy. I wish I could lie and say LeVar Burton, but that would be a lie and you'd be able to tell. Stuglife said, "What mall do you go to, if you even do? And also, where do you buy your kits?" Going to the mall sounds like an American thing to do. You know, "Goddamn, y'all, grab your gun, we're going to the mall." I don't know if there's actually much of a difference between the mall and the shopping centre, but I try to avoid them whenever I can. I'm the sort of person who will go out of their way to shop during quiet hours in certain grocery stores. I don't know if other places have that, probably, we're a bit slow here. The quiet hours are aimed at people with autism and sensory issues, but I like them too. Where I get my kits from largely depends on what kind of kit it is. Wargaming kits I'll often buy online, mostly from the manufacturers themselves, or the combat company War and Peace Games or Irresistible Force. The reason for that is there's not usually a lot of wargaming stuff in local stores. I suspect it just doesn't sell well. Almost all of my scale model kits come from local stores, or somewhat local. I do have to drive at least a half an hour to some of them. They would be CJ Vogler's, Hobbyrama, Hobby One, and Last Stand Miniatures Models and Games. I've been thinking of doing small videos about those local stores, like a kind of tour, maybe interview the owner or something. I think that might be a good idea. It's just a matter of finding the time. Is that something people would be interested in watching? Let me know in the comments below. SpaceFan247 said, "Did you know this was a sport in Australia in the 1930s?" and shared a picture of motorcycle chariot racing. I have seen some old videos of this, so I did know about it, though I forgot about it until now. Definitely one of the more entertaining forms of motorsports I've ever seen. I say we bring it back. I mean, I'm not going to partake, but, you know, why not? Badger said, "What do you know about plans?" I feel like I'm being interrogated. I swear I don't know anything. Please, no gulag. Actually, I do have a vague idea of what they are. It's kind of like a plane that doesn't quite fly but generates lift and skims above the water, which I guess is not really a great description. I could just Google it and sound really smart, but that seems like effort. Plans do seem like an interesting idea, and I do recall some that would make an awesome subject for a model. They probably exist. They've got it, right? Smoes said, "Have you ever tried any of MiG ammo paints? I converted to them a while back and I'm very happy." I haven't tried any of them yet. I don't have any interest in converting or sticking to one particular brand. I would like to try some out though, and eventually I'll probably pick up one of their colour sets. It's not a pressing issue at the moment though. I did actually get an angry message the other week from somebody who was upset that I have AK Interactive paints and haven't switched them out for ammo products yet because MiG Jimenez doesn't work at AK Interactive anymore, and that just seemed like a really stupid reason to spend money on new paint when I've already got perfectly functioning paint. Anyway, I guess I'm waffling. I will end up trying some ammo stuff soon enough. I do have weathering enamels that are going to need replacing soon, so maybe I'll try some ammo. Garrus said, "What is your favourite fast food chain? What do you order?" I don't really enjoy chain, it's too heavy and metally. It breaks the teeth. Ha ha ha! Sorry. I don't really care for fast food all that much. I guess pizza capers counts as fast food though, so I would choose that. It's a slight step up from the likes of Pizza Hut or Domino's. Or maybe Salsas. They make good burritos and their fries have a very nice seasoning. Ooh, or Sombrero. They also make very nice burritos. Don't know if they sell fries or not, but what I do know is that I want a burrito now. From Pizza Capers I often order the Barbecue Bonanza, which is a nice meaty pizza, and I quite often order a chicken fajita burrito. The extras vary quite a bit. I also often make lewd jokes around the word fajita because I'm an adult. Smoes said, "Have you considered getting one of those nail varnish bottle shakers to mix dropper bottles better?" I have sort of thought about it, but I'm not convinced it would be worth it. I don't think it's that hard to shake up paint, especially if you've got a ball bearing or glass bead in the bottle. It probably would be kind of good for paints that have been sitting around for a long time though, but it's not something I would call a priority for myself, though I have thought about it. Sneaky Zaku said, "What happens to those who question the derp and the secret police? Where do they go?" I've been playing a bit of Prison Architect lately, and I would say they go there, where I can send them to solitary, at will, and without reason. Which is to say, straight to Gulag. In seriousness though, questions are actually fine, as long as you're not being a pedantic shithead or something like that. I mean, if you try to argue that it's fine to be a racist because you don't care if you offend people after being warned, then yeah, no questions, straight to Gulag. Reasonable people are perfectly free to question the things we do. Ratto said, "Which do you think is more important in Star Trek? Universal Translator or Replicator?" Ooh, that's a good question. I think the Universal Translator would be more important. I mean, it might not even be possible to develop the technology for a replicator without species being able to easily communicate. That's my reasoning for in-universe. For the production of the show itself, I would also say Universal Translator. It makes telling the story so much easier. You don't have to be all like, "We've had a misunderstanding because of language" thing every episode, and it doesn't force people to read the subtitles. SpaceFan247 said, "What is the best liquid mask?" I do think this was asked recently, and I would say best is subjective. Also, I've only really used Humbrol liquid mask, so I'm not going to say Humbrol is the best just because that's what I happen to use. That would be stupid. That said, I did like the Humbrol stuff, even though it eventually dried out. I did have it for quite a few years. But next time I need some liquid mask, I'm going to try a different brand and just see what that's like. The French said, the entire country? Oh man, the pressure. They said, "What do you think about 1/700th scale models? Ships, planes, tanks?" I don't feel strongly about it either way. It's a pretty common scale for ships, isn't it? Maybe it's not, I'm not a big ship guy. I'm not a ship at all. It seems a bit small for tanks and planes, but I can see how these would work really well for people making dioramas involving the ships. And I think it's good that it exists. It's nice that there's a whole bunch of scale choices, so there's something for just about everyone. Duncanuva said, "O wise Herbert of the Lake, what wisdom can you bestow upon us?" I wish I lived near a lake, not in one, but near one would be great. Anyway, wisdom. I'm not sure I've got a lot of that. Do the things you like and don't worry about what other people think about it. I mean, pay attention to what people say, but do realise that not everything everybody says has value. The least value comes from people who don't do anything interesting themselves and just want to put your interests down. Also, don't date somebody who treats staff in restaurants and shops like shit. At best, they're just going to cause you to have awful service. And don't let people get you angry. It means you've lost control of yourself and given it to somebody else, and that's not a good thing. Also, don't be afraid to say no, don't be afraid to ban or remove people, and always move forward as best you can. Maybe not the best wisdom, but I did try to give a good answer, and maybe that helps somebody. John Tell said, "Am I on some sort of secret police list or something?" I can neither confirm nor deny your presence or lack thereof on any lists that may or may not exist. Stuglife said, "How do you become a secret police?" Generally, you don't. It's a bad idea to hand out moderation powers to just anybody, and it's also a bad idea to give them to people who ask and pester you for them. Anybody doing things that needs moderators and knows what they're doing will likely say something similar. At the moment, I don't feel any need for additional secret police. We have 4, including myself and Barnaby, and that's plenty. And our community is relatively small and well behaved. Jack647 said, "Why do you rarely use oil paints and pigments? Also, congrats on 100 Ask a Herbert Erpaderps." Thanks. The answer is I mostly just don't really feel a need for it. I do have some pigments and I experimented with them before I even started making videos, but I just prefer how enamels work. I mean, they're similar to oils really, and I don't see much point in using both, but any model I've used pigments on and handled with any frequency has ended up looking kind of bad after a while, and trying to seal it in with varnish has ruined the effect, so I do prefer being able to seal stuff in with some varnish. Also, pigments are very messy and get everywhere. It might just be in my head, but I feel like oils work better on larger scale kits. I was thinking I might use some oils on my VK4502 when I start weathering that. I'm not at that point yet though. For the most part, I'm getting exactly what I like with the enamels. Also, I've misplaced my set of oil paints, which kind of stops me from being able to use them. The Useless Gamer said, "Can you make Flames of War HS-128B2? First of all, you don't need to ping me. I mean, I always have streamer mode on, so it's not that it makes annoying sounds or anything, but I'll see the question when I work on Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, and it's not going to be answered any sooner with a ping. And second, I don't do requests. I build the models I have and that I feel like building. Going out of my way to buy a kit for everybody that wants to see their specific model built is a poor financial choice. That said, I might get that kit one day. There's nothing to the build though, so it will likely sit around for ages until I decide to paint it." Duncanuva said, "Does Australia have air shows?" It does. I don't often hear about them, at least not until it's too late, but they do happen. Somebody sent me information about one that was happening pretty close to my place the other week, but it turned out they required some sort of form to be filled out, and it was super short notice and I just couldn't be bothered. I mean, it is an active airbase, so I understand why they would do that, my motivation just wasn't very high. The Big Boy said, "What would the world look like if Bevo was to take over?" Also, 100 Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, hooray! Hooray! I think if Bevo took over, the world would mostly look like fire. Some people just want to watch the world burn, and Bevo is one of them. By the way, the artist I commissioned to make my Bevo emote for Twitch sent me a sketch and it's looking pretty damn good, and I can't wait to show you guys. SpaceFan247 said, "Can we get a short video of all your pets?" I've only got mice and fish. I have been thinking of doing some more mouse videos, but they can be kind of hard to film and I can't think of anything specific or interesting to do with them. Maybe a new baby mouse video would be a good idea. Also, I've recently set up a new fish tank. It's not completely done yet, I need to add some more plants and rocks, and I've only got one fish and some coolie loaches in there, but I was planning to make a video about that when it's more populated, so that's going to be a while. Jack647 said, a similar idea to Space Fans, but with all of your models. It would be cool to see your collection. This does get asked a lot, but I don't really feel motivated to do it at all. It might not sound like it, but it would take a lot of time to get the models out and set them up, then film it, then edit and think of something worth saying, and I suspect it would only get a handful of views. I could use that time on so many other things, stuff that I feel is more interesting and helpful. I try to make good decisions on how I use my time, and I don't think making a video that's pretty much just "look at all the models I've got" is very good use. In the YouTube comment section of the previous Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, Do Not Even Try said, "What's your top 5 without saying the category?" I'm not into top 5 or 10 or whatever lists, and I don't get why everybody always wants everything ranked. Also, I can't even begin to think of what I would list without some sort of category to work with. This is clearly a great answer to the question. Yantima said, "How long did it take you to grow your beard?" I'm not sure, I didn't time it. I've been growing it for a really long time though. The last time I shaved was probably in 2011 or so, but because I'm such a hairy guy it really doesn't take long to start growing facial hair. I do trim it from time to time though, so I guess maybe it would be longer if I just left it. Again, another terrific answer. EPArt said, "What is the most obscure vehicle you know of?" I guess the AC-1 Sentinel. I would say the Bob Semple, but I feel like everybody knows about that. You see comments about it being overpowered everywhere. The AC-1 is well known as well. Probably I have heard of or seen some more obscure vehicles, but just forgotten about them. Remembering is hard. Efik Senpai said, "Wow, I never expected to see one of my models in your video, and to hear such good things about it. I'm not considering myself to be a great modeler. And actually that red dirt is to represent crushed brick dust as it's from Berlin 1945. Oh, and the rubble on top is actually real crushed brick." Well, I think it was great work. Using real bits of crushed up brick is a pretty clever idea too. I do like to share people's work regardless of skill level, perceived or not. Most people feel like they aren't as good at modelling as they actually are. I like to try and encourage people, and I do rather enjoy seeing what the community is doing. Modelling isn't, and especially not the modelling section of Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, isn't a competition, so I don't really judge what I show here in any meaningful way, though I am more likely to share something if it's unusual or really weird or something that just grabs my attention. I wanted to use this as a segue into the modelling section of Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, but it's kind of clumsy. Anyway, let's go check out the models. First up, Major General Bunk has painted this Space Marine especially for the occasion of 100 episodes of Ask a Herbert Erpaderp. This is great, and the colours are a perfect choice. There's a lot to like, but I think the best part is that it says "butt" on the backside of the base. What a great way to commemorate the occasion. I appreciate this. Space Monkey has shared this really nice looking Mirage 2000C by Italeri. Space Monkey notes that this plane is entirely airbrushed. I think it looks pretty good, and the colours are quite nice. The red dotted lines are interesting too. I don't know what they mean, but I suspect it's something along the lines of "don't pass these lines," or something like that. Either way, very good work. Space Monkey then said, "And now for something completely different. This dinosaur. Not something we see very often, but it's definitely very welcome. These pictures are a progression of work. It's nice to see things taking shape. And here is the completed Dilophosaurus, if I'm saying that right. This is a repaint and the model is made by Papo, if I'm saying that right. I would say that you've definitely improved the model. Space Monkey says this is based on the Jurassic Park novel, and the king cheetah was used as a reference image for the pattern. I don't know much about dinosaurs, but I think this looks awesome. Very well done." Monell shared this T62. This looks really good. I mean, it is mostly solid green, though there are of course highlights and such, but it certainly takes some skill to make a single colour look realistic and interesting, and I think you've done that really well. Keep up the excellent work. Efix said, finished these bad boys. They look great. They're both very convincing. You've clearly put a bunch of effort into these, and I would say that it's paid off. Very nice work. And some more nice work from Efik is this here Kubelwagen. This manages to look both clean and dusty and well used. I'm not aware of the scale or manufacturer of this model, but it looks great and that's really what matters. Obama Gaming shared this work in progress King Tiger, saying that they're not that good at modelling. I have to disagree. It's not perfect, but it's not bad either. You could certainly do with thinning your paints a bit and applying them in multiple thin coats, and I'm sure the more you work at it, the better you'll get. That's how it works, really. Keep at it. The Tourettes Gamer shared this awesome looking Crusader. I think this might be the Rubicon kit, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, it looks very nicely done. Very clean. Nothing wrong with that, of course. Sometimes it's nice to see something that's not filthy and beaten up. The anti-air turret looks just as good as the regular turret, just more plain shooty, which is the technical term. And here's a car. This is a Citroën 2CV in 1/24th scale by Revell. Coke can for scale, I guess. I quite like this. It's very nicely built and I especially like the shade of red. And here's a couple of progress shots as well. Excellent work. SpaceFan247 shared this TOG 2. Who doesn't like a TOG 2? I mean, if you don't like TOG 2, just keep it to yourself. Nobody really cares. This is a very nice looking model, and I'm assuming it's the 15mm scale one from Battlefront. Even if I'm wrong, it's really good. Mr. Plays 87 shared this Cromwell diorama. The kit was found in a drawer without any instructions, and was then turned into a rusty old wreck. I think it's really good. I know I said it's nice to see clean tanks earlier, but it's also very interesting to see destroyed ones as well. Good job. The Vica shared this teeny tiny 15mm scale Stuka, which is pretty cool. Also this 1/18th scale Stuka, which is even cooler. It looks very well painted, and just look at the size of it. I wish I had space for that kind of thing. Very nice. The Vica has also finished most of their new Flames of War British Army. This force seems to include a whole bunch of tanks, and that's something I can get behind. They look really well done too. The dusty look is particularly nice. I hope all of your perilous enemies are crushed beneath your mighty British treads. And just a bit more of the Vica's work. You might remember these in unpainted form from Ask a Herbert Erpaderp 97, which the Vica reminded me of, or I would have totally forgotten the number, because remembering is hard. These rail bases look absolutely fantastic, and the pigs look pretty good too. Jondell made this Mad Max style Chevelle. This is really cool. It's not over the top with guns and stuff like how I build post-apocalyptic cars, which is perfectly fine. It looks more in keeping with Mad Max style. I quite like that somebody has scrawled "hands off" on it. State-of-the-art security system. Very well done. Hope for the Best shared this very sensible and not at all silly tower tank. I don't know what you would actually call it, but I think these are for All Quiet on the Martian Front. I really like how silly and ridiculous it looks. That's probably no surprise to anybody. All the steam engine stuff it has looks really cool too. Just amazing. General Spade has shared this Studebaker 6x6 truck in Soviet service. The model is in 28mm scale and is made by Rubicon. I particularly like the way you've made the wood look all worn and chipped. It's quite convincing, especially on the sides. Spade says that the Katyusha launcher is coming, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Very nice work. Ratto shared the continuation of a Blood Angels Terminator project that he had a while ago. These red stabby shooty boys look very nice, and I rather enjoy the dirty looking red. Great work. I doubt anybody is surprised to see that Ratto is doing amazing work. Trekant Beluvic shared this pair of tanks that he's named East meets West, which seems like an appropriate name. These models are an Abrams and a T-72, and both of them are in 15mm scale from Battlefront. I think they're both really good, but I especially like the camo pattern on the Abrams. The yellowy coloured line really makes it look unique and interesting. The final pictures include some damage markers that were, I believe, inspired by a video that I did showing how to make them. And they look rather good. Also, I enjoy the Star Trek movies as backdrops. The big boy shared this Savez Dirty T35. This is the 1/72nd scale kit. It just so happens that I've started streaming my own build of this kit, and I'm really enjoying it so far. The big boy has done an awesome job painting this, as you can plainly see, and they note that it was entirely airbrush painted for the first time. This is a good strong tank, and you've done a fantastic job on this model. And here's another one from the big boy. This is a 1/72nd scale P51D Mustang. This is a great looking model. It's so neat. I mean, if you look at it closely it looks dirty, but it still looks really neat and tidy. I feel like if you put a more realistic background behind this, you could easily be forgiven for thinking it's a real plane. Also, that shade of blue is really nice. Gopnik has shared this jet. Not being a doctor of jet aircraft, I can't be sure, but I think this is a MiG-21. I'm also not sure what you would call the camo scheme, but it looks really good and unique. I really like the way the paint has been chipped and worn off and a lot of the metal is showing through. It's really well done. Gopnik is quite proud of this model, and I say heck yeah, you should be proud. Graff Pudding has shared a pair of work-in-progress universal carriers for their British Commonwealth Army. They are named Needlehead and Bushwhacker. These are looking pretty good so far. I'm sure they're going to look amazing when you've finished with them. Tachycoma 1373 shared this Plastic Soldier Company M5A1, saying that it still has some work to do. I really like the wooden boards and foliage on the front of the tank, very nicely done. Tachycoma says that it's real moss from the garden. I guess that's what helps it look so convincing. Awesome work. Sunny DZ shared this King Tiger. I think this is the Warlord kit, though I'm not entirely sure. What I do know is that it looks great. And I have to say that your painting has improved quite a lot, and that's awesome to see. I quite like the rusty look you've got on the spare track links. Very good work. Keep it up. Corned Beef shared this really good looking Osprey. I've no idea about the scale or manufacturer, but I don't suppose that really matters. The model looks great, and it's one of the more interesting looking aircraft in my opinion. Fantastic work. Clara Voroshilov shared this Contemptor, which I think is a great name. I'm not up on the 40k stuff, but I think it's some kind of dreadnought. Either way, I like it. Clara wanted to point out the metallic detail, and I think it's turned out pretty well. The green is also very nice. And that's it for the models. There's more than usual because it's been 3 weeks since I did the last Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, but that's okay. Maybe more is better for the 100th episode anyway. As always though, not everything has been shared. I don't have the time to make a 7-hour video that would be needed to share all of the good work that's been posted on Discord. So if you do want to see everything, head on over to the Discord channel and check it out. Link is below. And that means it's also the end for this episode of Ask a Herbert Erpaderp. As always, thank you to everybody who asked a question. Also a very big thank you to everybody who shares their great modelling work with the community. It's really appreciated. And don't forget the Community Day and giveaway stream thing to celebrate the 100th Ask a Herbert Erpaderp is going to take place on the 15th of September around 7 PM my time. That's GMT plus 10. You will have to convert to your own time zone yourself, or you could look for the announcements and stuff. Or you could follow me on Twitch, that would tell you when I go live, which could be handy. Also, if you haven't already, it would be fantastic if you were to subscribe, follow, ring the bell, become a member, and all the things you do on YouTube and social media. Links to all the things including Patreon and my Twitch channel are in the description below. And as always, I shall return soon, so until then, be excellent to each other and thanks for watching. Farewell.